What I want to take you through now is essentially what I call the fast growth model. This is my formula for growing businesses ridiculously quickly. This is the formula that I use over my 3 days in Nail It and Scale It to drive ridiculous levels of growth, and this is what we implement every step of the way. I am basically now, and I know I use that word a lot, I am going to give you my entire method for growing businesses really quickly. I just want to know, if I give this to you, is this something that you would actually value, yes or no? Yes. Okay, the first thing that you need to develop is what I refer to as entrepreneurial psychology. One of the first areas is what we call high-performance psychology. High-performance psychology relates to your ability to deal with stressful situations so that you actually don't lose your wit. Who's been stressed at some point in the last week? Who has discovered that business has this unique way of stressing you out really quickly? Multiple times a day. When you experience stress, your body releases cortisol. And cortisol is this incredible hormone in the body that when it is released, it halves your IQ within about 6 to 7 minutes. Now, before you don't believe me, let's battle test this. Has anyone here ever done really stupid shit while stressed? Only to then calm down and then go, I have no idea why I did that. Now, what does business have a habit of doing on a very regular basis? Who would agree, business can be very stressful. So as business owners, we need to learn how to condition ourselves against stress. Because the thing is, would you agree that one of the worst things that you can do while you're stressed is actually make decisions? And who has to make a lot of decisions while you're stressed? Would you guys like to know a biohack for stress? Would you like to know how to hack stress? Okay, 4 people, that's awesome. So we'll skip that. User pays. You want to know, you got to tell me. Okay, you don't have to yell, it's a conversation. Here's the thing, cortisol, there is actually, and I'm going to call it an antidote, there is actually an antidote. There's a hormone that when it's released in the body, it is actually like an antidote for stress. It actually reduces the cortisol in your bloodstream, and actually it's a neuroregenerator and a neural inhibitor. It actually protects your brain and actually encourages it to work faster. Would you like to know what that hormone is? Yes. It's called Dhea. Dhea is a hormone that is released in both men and women. It starts to decline after the age of 25. But it is all, who's going, oh shit, okay, that's all right. But there is a way that there is a state that you can put yourself into naturally that naturally increases your DHEA. And that state is called gratitude. When you're in a natural state of gratitude, your DHEA levels in your bloodstream naturally rise. So one of the things that is important to do is to start disassociating the meaning of stress and reassociating the benefits. So when stressful things happen, instead of freaking out, and again, we go into it much deeper in Nail It and Scale It, is start looking at how can you be grateful for things that are stressing you. That is it in a nutshell. Psychology drives, who's heard this before? Psychology drives performance. But most of you are dealing with the psychology that has been wired to produce the results that you have in your life right now. Does this make sense? The results that you have in your life right now are literally a direct product of the way that your brain works. So I have 3 days to completely rewire and reprogram your brain to perform at much higher levels, to be able to deal with stress in much more volume in order to perform at a much higher level as well. Psychology drives persuasion and influence, okay, and also how to lead more effectively. As a leader, your number one goal as a leader is to create a culture that attracts incredible talent. Great talent will attract great clients, and great clients will create great profit. Has anyone here ever had a bad team member or a bad staff member? Have you noticed that there's a direct correlation between the type of staff that you have and the quality of clients that they attract? That is driven by their psychology. The second thing that you need to understand and master is what we call strategic planning for small business. Based on a recent study, the average entrepreneur in Australia, the average business owner in Australia, spends between 2 to 3 hours a day either distracted or recovering from a distraction. Can anyone go, yeah, that's kind of true? Yeah. Now you multiply that, the multiplier effect, over 365 days, but then divide that by 5 working days. Guess how many weeks a year you're actually either distracted or recovering from a distraction? Between 12 to 18 weeks a year. So I'm going to give you what it looks like in a nutshell. The framework is this. We need to identify what your purpose is. Why do you exist? Why do you exist in the first place? This is a crucial question that you need to be able to answer. And I'm telling you right now, you do not exist to make more money. And I wish, there's a great film, what's it called? Fucking video clip from Jim Carrey. It's called My Wish for You. And his wish for you, he basically says, I wish all of you could have enough money in the bank account right now so that to do everything you wanted, so that you could realize that it's not about money. Take this from someone who has made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, and made a lot more I have now learnt that the more money I make is a result and a direct consequence, and this might sound very strange, of me not focusing on making more money. I focus on two things. I focus on doing what I love, and I focus on delivering ridiculous levels of value. And as a natural consequence, I don't have to worry about money. It just comes rolling in. Does this make sense? And this is directly related to your purpose. The next thing we need to do from there is identify what is your mission. And your mission is, and I'm not talking mission statement, I'm talking what is your big, hairy ass, audacious goal that you're trying to achieve in the next 10 years? What are you trying to achieve in the next 10 years? Because then we need to reverse engineer that. And at Nail It and Scale It, we take you through the process to identify what the priorities are. And these are the things that you do on a yearly basis. What are the priorities that you need to do this year that are going to get you one step closer to your mission? Okay, let me give you a little bit of an interesting piece of data. Based on the economic data from the US, the UK and the New Zealand right now, on average, guess how long it takes to build $1 million business from scratch? 7 to 10 years. Now, what's interesting is, guess how many businesses from scratch actually survive the first 5 years? Somewhere between 3 and 6%. But we aren't even at the 7 to 10 year mark. Guess what percentage of those businesses, that 3 to 6%, actually survive the next 5 years? 1.8%. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, I thought he was here to try and motivate us. I'm here to tell you the truth. Business is hard. Who's been in business for long enough to work out it's actually very difficult? And it always takes longer than you think and costs more than you think. It's always going to take 10 times as long and cost 10 times as much. That's business. But what this method can show you how to do is accelerate the ridiculously fast. But first of all, let's look at what we're trying to achieve in the next 10 years. Stop thinking so short term. Stop thinking about what you want in the next 12 months, even the next 6 months. Because when I work with entrepreneurs, they always tell me, I want to make $1 million. I say, okay, what's your runway to do that? And guess what their time frame is? 6 to 12 months. And it's at that point I say to them, you are in for a world of pain because your expectations will never meet the reality of the situation. Does this make sense? Please tell me if this makes sense because I really want to know if this is landing. Okay, yelling louder doesn't help me. You guys, I know. I'm interested in the rest of the room. Yeah. Thanks, Mum. From your priorities, we need to break down those into your goals, which is what you need to achieve and do on a weekly basis. So let's look at this. We need to identify why you exist, your purpose. We need to identify your big, hairy ass, audacious goal. What is it you're trying to achieve in the next 10 years? We then need to reverse engineer that and identify the priorities that need to be completed every year in order to get one step closer to the mission. But those priorities need to be broken down into goals on a weekly basis so that every week we are completing goals that go towards our priorities every year. And then from those goals need to be broken down into tasks on a daily basis that ensures that the goals get ticked off. Those goals ensure that the priorities get ticked off. And the priorities mean every priority we complete gets us one step closer to the mission. But if we're doing this method right, if we're doing this model right, every single one of these, every time we're doing a task, guess what we're actually doing? We're actually living our purpose. Motivation isn't an issue when you follow this method. Motivation is not an issue when you follow this method because you're on purpose every day. And the reason most of you aren't growing at the rate that you want is because you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing. You're wasting time that you don't have. This is from someone I've only shared 2 near-death experiences with you. I've had 7 near-death experiences. I have learnt through death, close calls of my own, and I've lost so many friends and family members over the years. I've had a disproportionate amount of death in my life. And the thing that has taught me more than anything else is the value of time. We don't have, and again, this is something that is your most precious asset. This method that we teach in Nail It and Scale It on average increases performance by between 200 to 600%. Now, when you think of if we can do it on an average of 400%, what does that mean in the context of a 10-year journey? It's no longer a 10-year journey. How long is it now? Clearly, you're all fucking entrepreneurs, not mathematicians. It's now 2.5 years. Because who's heard of people growing $1 million businesses in less than 2 years? There are stories out there, but what people don't realize is there is a method behind growing businesses very quickly, and this is an incredible part of the process. The next area is marketing, and in Nail It and Scale It, we essentially work on 3 areas of marketing. We work on what's called content marketing through social media. The second method of marketing that we teach at Nail It and Scale It is what's called paid social media advertising. Who here does Facebook ads? Okay, right now, less than about 5% of businesses in the world on Facebook use Facebook advertising. There is an enormous opportunity right now to use Facebook advertising to grow your business, whether you realise it or not, because right now there are 67% of our entire population in Australia, over 15 million people active every single month, and most of those every single week on Facebook right now. And Facebook is the single greatest evolution of marketing technology in the history of business, and you all have the opportunity to tap into it. So we actually show you how to use the tool. We actually set up ads live in the room. You can bring your laptop. We provide tables and chairs and power. You just got to bring your own internet, and we show you actually how to set those ads up. And if you don't do it through me, learn it through yourself. You must learn how to use Facebook as an advertising tool, because right now only 5% of businesses advertise on Facebook, and I promise you 3 to 5 years from now, that number will be reversed, and it'll be 95% of businesses will be advertising on Facebook, and there'll be nothing but noise, and everyone will be on the next platform. You must learn how to master Facebook. And that's what we teach. And the third element, I've literally only been able to share with you this strategy in 30 minutes. I spend 2 hours deep diving into the strategy. I give you the methods, I give you the scripts, I give you the tips, I give you everything you need to know in order how to execute joint ventures, and we start implementing them live in the room as well. The fourth area is sales. Who loves sales? Who like cringes at sales? Come on, be honest. Put your hand up if you find sales uncomfortable. What if there was a sales method out there that actually, when you used it, enabled people to close themselves without any high pressure? Would that be helpful? Yes. Imagine a world where people sold themselves, but it guarantees 2 things. You will never, ever be able to sell to anyone again unless they have a genuine need for your product or service. And the second thing is it will have people closing themselves as long as there is a genuine need for your product and service. Does this make sense? Yes. It's not about pitching, it's about behaving like a specialist. And the fourth area is leadership and cultural development. And this is where you scale. For those of you that want to grow big businesses, if you want to grow like a $5 to a $50 million or $100 million business, even heck, if you want to grow like $1 million business, guess what you're going to need in order to help you get there? Talent. The talent attraction method is one of the things that we teach, which is showing you how to attract the right talent, not staff. Staff is code word for a pole that you use in combat to hit people with. A staff member is someone who shows up at 8:58 in the morning and they leave at 4:58 in the afternoon, and they insist on taking their hour lunch break, and they take an hour and 15 minutes. They insist on taking their 15-minute morning and afternoon tea because it's the law. That's a staff member. Talent shows up early. Talent stays back late. Talent are just freaking amazed that they get paid to do what they love. And there are so many people out there right now that are just that love to do the things that you hate. And they are incredibly amazed and grateful that some people are willing to pay them for it. And the way that you attract great talent, not staff, is through leadership. And leadership is about teaching you how to do 3 things effectively. Number 1, getting very clear on your purpose and showing you how to communicate that at a high level in a way that inspires and enrolls people. The second thing that a great leader has to do is define the mission and communicate that consistently and create forms of measurement and inspires people and enrolls people to take them with you. And the third thing that a leader needs to do is actually demonstrate a set of values, which are the operating principles, which are the GPS guidance system for the business. And they live this shit. They don't just put the values on the wall and go, well, no, this is our value. We don't do that. No. Their demonstration is the benchmark for what is on the wall. And when a leader does those 3 things well, they create what's called a culture. And right now, you've either got a good culture or a bad culture. Everybody's got a culture. But what I can tell you is a great culture attracts great talent, and great talent attracts great clients. But what talent are looking for that staff are not is they're looking to be nurtured. What staff give you is essentially an adult daycare centre. By nurtured, I don't mean their hand being held. They just know that they want to be liked, they want to be trusted, and they want to be respected. They want to be a part of something bigger than just a machine that makes money. They want to be given autonomy to do the things that they love at a level that allows them to learn and grow so that they can develop a level of mastery, because they want to be continually learning new stuff so they don't get bored. Talent is what grows businesses fast, not entrepreneurs. It's a massive distinction. But do you know what is required in order to think about scaling, in order to get talent? You've got to develop the investment psychology. Because I want you guys to think about this. When people get into business for themselves, oftentimes they do it because they want to make more money. Fair assumption, right? And as soon as they start making money, guess what they do with that money? They start spending it on things that they don't need to impress people that they don't know or like. For the first, who would like to have their business give them true freedom? Okay, do you know what you need to do for the first 5 to 7 years? Reinvest every cent you possibly can into the growth of your business. Because if you don't, 5 to 7 years from now, you will still be on the hamster wheel. And most of you wanted to have, you wanted to get out of your job because you wanted to be free. Who wanted to got into business because they wanted more freedom? Yeah, how's that working for you? Because most freedom is not what people are given with most businesses. Why? Because they want to take the money that they've earned and spend it. Whereas if you take the money that you've earned and reinvest it into information, reinvest it into education, reinvest it into talent, I promise you, if you reinvest as much money as you possibly can in the first 5 to 7 years of business, in 5 to 7 years from now, you will not have to work in that business, and that business will be like an extreme ATM machine. But if you don't, I guarantee you 5 to 7 years from now, you'll still be running on the hamster wheel like you are today, probably faster because you're getting older and more worried. This is how you nail it and scale it.